Okay, this tutorial is just going to run over the basics of the interface of Maya. So I'm going to start at the top here and just sort of work my way around. First of all, at the top here what we have is the status line, and you'll see here we have different sections. So I have animation, can switch into polygons, and what you'll notice is the menus at the top here are going to change. So what Maya have done is they've just simplified the menus so we can just go into different sections, and we can also customize this. We'll do this at a later date where we can actually make our own little menus up here, and we can add things to the menus. You see here we've got the default sets, and we can add to this. So if you want to set up, once you get more familiar with the program, we can set up our own little menus here, which is a very useful little function. But for now we'll just stick with the default one here. So this is so we've got the status shelf. Then just below that what I've got is little sub-menus here. This is known as the shelf, and you've got the general settings here, so I have things with cameras and grouping objects. If I'm starting off, I'm going to be working in polygons here, so you see we've got all our polygon shapes, and then we've got some tools, and we've got texture mapping things going on here as well. On the left hand side is where I've got all my tools. So I've got things like my selection tools up here. I've got move tool, rotate tool, scale tool, universal manipulator tool, which really combines all these three tools into one tool, which is quite handy. And I've got a soft selection where I can sort of pull up points, and it will create a very soft sort of bumps and things in materials. And the last one here is just where I'm working in a tool, and it will show me interactively I can work with the tool. I have little handles on it. Below this I've got a quick view selections. So at the moment I'm on default perspective view. I can jump into a 4 view. I can then jump into a 2 panels here. This is my outliner. The outliner is going to show me basically everything that's in my movie. So this is just a list. So by default we'll have cameras. So this is the perspective camera, is the view I'm looking in at the moment, and we have top, front and side cameras. There's a default light set and default object set. So that's just what we start off with. As we add objects, you'll see that this will get added to. So it's a very useful little thing, the outliner, to see what's going on in our movie, and it's quite a sort of it's very sort of a simple thing to look at. It's very intuitive. You can just see all the objects here. So I carry on, I can click down here. We've got what's known as the graph editor. This is for animation, and then we have the hypershade. This is where we can do all of our texturing, and then I've got a mix of a few things going on here. I've got the graph, animation graph down here, and up here I'll have my that will be my hypershade up there, or is it my hypergraph anyway? So these are just sort of some quick little view settings we can change to here. Let's go back to my default scale perspective view there. At the bottom I've got my animation timeline here. Very nice little thing this. We can expand it, look at all of my keyframes here, or I can zoom down and just concentrate on a small part of my movie, and I can change the settings here as to how long my movie is going to be. And I've got some basic little playback, back, forward buttons here. You'll also notice in the bottom here, helpline. This displays, you can see here as I mouse over it, displays short help tips for tools and selections. Very handy little thing. You can actually learn quite a lot by keeping an eye on this one. Quite often it will give you suggestions as to what you might want to do next. So you're always looking down here to see what's going on. So as I move around the screen and you look at that, you'll see it's just going to tell me what each object is. On the right hand side here, first of all at the bottom here we've got our layers. Again, a very useful little tool in Maya. This is where we can organize our project into very clear little layers. We can switch things off, and makes life organizing a project a little bit easier. And above that we have the channels box. Now this is where all my objects, all the information about them will appear. So what I'll do is, I've done another little tutorial about creating primitives, so I'm just going to click a little cube in the middle there, and you can see now in my channels box I've got all the information about its translating on its moving on its X, Y and its Z, its rotation, scale, and whether it's visible or not. If I click on the little inputs here underneath, you'll see Polycube1, that's the name of this one by default, and if I click on that, then here I can actually change its height, its width, and subdivisions is how many polygons it has in it. So this is kind of all my information here. If I hit Control and A, or rather, yeah, I was thinking I'm on the Mac here, it's probably Apple, but no, Control A. What we've got now is what's known as the attributes, and now this is similar to the channels box, but this is a lot more detail going on here. There's a lot more kind of possibilities of what I can get into and what I can change, and generally speaking you can just swap between these by just Control A will just swap, or if I've got a tool using that will also jump into it. So here's my little cube in the window here. Now you can see it's come in as a little wireframe. It's also quite a long way away, I can't really see very much there, so if I hit F on my keyboard, then it will automatically just zoom in and I can center whatever active object that I've got. If I want to change its display, then what we have is in this present view is a wireframe view, it's number 4. If I hit number 5, then I will go into a shaded view. Number 6 will show textures. Now this one doesn't have any textures, so there's no difference between 5 and 6 in the moment. And pressing 7 on my keyboard will go and show me the lights. Well, again, there's no lights on in here, there's a default light, but you'll see it's just blacks out here. So there's just different displays, so 4, 5 and 6, 7. So let's put it back onto 5. Now, an important thing to know, obviously, is how are we actually saving these files. So if I go up to my file settings here, you can see I can save the scene. So this is a scene. Each document you open up is a scene. And scenes are generally parts of projects. And if I go down to the bottom here, you'll see I've got project, new, edit current, or set. So I'm going to create a new project here, and I'll call it project 1, and we'll just click onto that, save it onto my desktop, and this project folder is made up of lots of other little folders because there's a lot of external things that you work with in a 3D application. So there's places where I can store images I'm going to use, where it will create my finished movies, clips, that type of thing. So it's a good idea to start off with a good protocol, creating project folders so we can save our scenes into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the use defaults, and it will give all of these a name, and I'll hit accept. And now when I go to save my scene, what it will do is, there you see on my desktop, project 1, scenes, and it's going to save this file, and I'll just call it cube. It's going to save it into the little folder that says scenes. I can change that down here. I can sort of decide I want to move it into a different folder here. You'll also notice that it has a little suffix here, MB. There's also a possibility to do MA. Now by default it's going to do this MB. It's a Maya binary file, and the other one, MA, is a Maya ASCII file. Now, we can stick with the MB. ASCII just means that you can actually edit the file using a text editor, but as we're not that far yet, and we don't have any necessity to edit the file in a text editor, we're just going to stick with the MB. So that's just the difference between MB and MA. Is Maya binary, Maya ASCII, and we're going to stick with the Maya binary here. So save my file, and it's all done there. Another handy feature is when we say save scene, if I just click these little symbols on the side here, these are where I can get more options. If I click on this, on my save scene options here, excuse me, we have a little thing here called incremental save, which is useful for if you're modeling. Well, it's useful for everything really in the program. What it will do is every time you save again, it will keep a copy of your previous save. Now this can get quite, if you keep this on without limiting it, you'll end up with quite a lot of files. So if you limit the incremental saves to say 5, then you'll always have the previous 5 copies of your project, and if anything goes terribly wrong, you can just sort of go back and pick up on a previous version. So if I save that, just apply it, what will happen now is every time I save this, do something, I'll have copies of it. So nice little feature that. Now, in our actual viewpoint here, what we've got at the top here is a little thing. It's known as the compass. Now, when I first came to Maya, this was the thing I picked up on very quickly, and I find this a very nice little tool. This. So what it's basically doing is a very quick way of viewing your object. So I can click on the arrows here, and I can start to navigate through my object. Go, and the arrows here are just going to tell me where I am. If I want to go back to the 3D view, then I can just click on that little symbol there and get back to my 3D view. So it's a very nice little tool, this, that I can just spin around my object and work very quickly here. If I want to zoom in and zoom out of my view, so let's just go back into the little 3D view here. Probably the easiest way just to move in and out of your scene is just to use the scroll button, mouse roller, whatever, on your mouse. Funnily enough. Now with Maya, if you don't have a 3-button mouse, then you're kind of a little bit limited, to say the least. In other words, you need a 3-button mouse for Maya. So by just rolling my my mouse wheel here, I can zoom in and out. If I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, then what I have now is my 3-button mouse. If I click on the left mouse button, I can rotate, or what's also known as tumbling, my view here. So now I can just rotate around my view. If I hold down the middle mouse button, then I can move my view around, or what's also known as tracking. The rolling my mouse button, my mouse wheel here, this is known as dollying, or zooming in and out. And I can also achieve this by hitting my right mouse button. Sorry, that's my right mouse button is going to, am I hitting the right one here? Here we go. Thank you. So right mouse button, I'm zooming in and out here. And now if I hit my Alt key and the Shift key here, what I've got now, so this is Alt left mouse button. You'll see I can tumble my view around like so. If I hold down the Shift key, then what I've got is, you'll see, it doesn't matter what I do, this is, my rotate is restricted to this particular axis here. I'll let go and then start moving up and down, then you'll see it doesn't matter what I do, it's fixed in that position. So the Shift key will just restrict your rotation around certain pivot points here. Again, it's quite a nice handy little tool there. Now, with our views, we can, because quite often you set up a view, then you need to look at your object in another way, and you want to go back to where you are. Now, in a sort of a default setting, if I'm looking at the side and the top and the front, or actually that was the side, that would be the back, fairly straightforward. But if I start to move my view around, so I zoom in at one point, and then I zoom out, and then I hit the Alt key, and I'll spin around a little bit, I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I want to go back to a view I had a few shots ago. Well, if I use the bracket keys on my keyboard, then you'll see that now what I'm doing is I'm just going back through my views that I've just done, and I can get back to where I was, and I can also just use the front bracket key and then go back to where I had just come from, and now I'm back to where I was just a minute ago. Another way of doing this, and this is particularly useful for when we do compositing, where you want to actually sort of fix a camera, is I can bookmark my views. So I can just go back to them, I can set up a view, and if I want I can just go back to them. And if I go to the view menu here, then I can just go up to my camera tool, bookmarks here, and you see it will say edit bookmarks, and when I click on that I can just say okay, I want to make a new bookmark, and well, I'll call it my camera view, so let's just stick in my in front of that, and let's just undo that one, and I'll just say new bookmark. There, it's added to it, and oh, actually I've just overwritten, I've made another one, so there's my camera view. Hit apply, close it off. Let's just click around again. And that's another feature while I'm there, is if I in the 3D view, if I just perspective view here, if I just click on the cube, what it will do is it will just center the object as well, which is also a handy little feature. So let's mess up this view a little bit. So let's left mouse button, and then I'll just move my object over there. I'm thinking, well, actually I had a very nice view earlier on, I want to go back to it, so I just go to my bookmarks, there's my camera view, click on it, and there I'm back into that view again. So we can either use our mouse, our bracket keys to go through our views, or I can also bookmark the view and just keep a reference to it. So a lot of very nice little viewing tools in Maya. Kind of a big fan of these things. The actual animation, you'll see that as it moves. Now, some people find this a little bit kind of queasy. You can actually disable this, or you can make it go a little bit quicker. If I go to my window and preferences, just here, and if I go down to my camera preferences, because that's what we're looking through here, is a camera, you'll see here that animated camera transitions, well, I could switch them all off, or I could slow it down if you really wouldn't see much point in doing that. Let's make that 0.2 and save it, close that one off, and now what's going to happen is you'll see that my movements are going a lot quicker, and well, yeah, it's personal choice. I kind of like the default settings. It's a nice slow animation. So I will just go back to my preferences here, and while I'm here, because quite often, well, especially at college, when you're using software that's been used by a lot of different people have changed the settings. To set it all back to default, then we can just go to the edit menu, and this is true on all of these little windows that you see. We just say restore default settings, close it up, and now I'm just back to my original little settings here, and back to my nice smooth animation there. So finally, I'm just going to talk about some viewing options here. So if I click into the 4-view view here, so 4 panels rather, So let's click on this one, and I want to quickly just go back to full screen mode. Well, if I just tap very quickly on the spacebar, then you'll see that will expand that view. I tap quickly again, and we'll go over to there. Select this one, and there we'll jump into that view. Hit back. Now you'll notice as I'm doing this, and this is why I say tap quickly, is if I hold down on the spacebar, what I'll get is what's known as the hotbox, and this is just where I've got a lot of menus and things. And again, we'll talk about this at a later date and go into more detail about it. It's simply a way of accessing menus. Now, to start off with, we want to see all of our menus, but eventually we'll be able to work in a full screen view. And problem is on this Mac is that the control for this, the shortcut for this is Control Spacebar. I need to change this because at the moment if I hit Control Spacebar, oh well, there you go, it worked this time. Control Spacebar will just jump this into a full screen mode, like so, and then you can see that this hotbox is a very useful little thing here, and I can just decide what I want to see on this one. So let's just say show all, and then you'll see all my menus, everything's here, and it's a nice way to work. But like I say, to start off with, we're just going to stick with our menus so we get familiar with it. Okay, so that's it about navigation. The next tutorial I'll talk about using modeling tools, rotate, the universal manipulator, and playing around with our little object here.